Alright, in this lesson we're going to be modeling the teeth, the tongue, and I'm going to put some eyebrows on him. And you can see I modeled out the lower lip here and added quite a bit of resolution around the mouth to make that happen. I do have a couple triangles here, which was a result of bringing this edge over to the center instead of running it all the way around the character's body. And I've got the same happening back here. So once I'm done with the character, I'll just delete this edge in the center and it will be a quad. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start off with a cube for making our tooth. And just pull it up here. And I'll probably just place it in front of the character right now. I'm going to make the middle tooth. I'm going to come over to my channel box and give this a few subdivisions. I'm going to start off pretty low. And I actually don't think I need any subdivisions for the depth right now. And just going to go ahead and start shaping this. And grabbing the points, go back to my modeling toolkit over here and turn edge slide off, keeping symmetry on. Pulling that up. And I want a little bit of roundness happening, so I'm going to double click on the center edge, scale that out. And to create this point up here at the top, I'm actually going to scale that in. Okay, I think I'm going to do the same right here with these points. Just scale those in. Do a little bit more up here. And I feel like this could also get a little thinner. Okay. Alright, so this is kind of a basic shape right here for a pointed tooth. If I wanted it flatter, I would have done something like this and kept these wider if they were a little bit more traditional teeth. Same thing down here. I might actually pull these in. So I'm just going to undo that and scale this in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to position the tooth now and see if I need to do any shaping. So as far as my drawings go, I've got kind of irregular looking teeth that come up pretty high. And just kind of looking at the character here, I feel like maybe that's a little too high. So I'm going to go ahead and start shaping this, pushing it down. And then looking in here at where it's landing. What I'm going to have to do is make some areas in here that look like gums that allow the tooth to sit in, so it's not just sitting here in the lip like that. And I feel like this tooth is still a little too wide and that it needs another edge loop right here. So I'm just flattening that, scaling it in a little. And I'm going to just bring this down a little bit. Alright, so that looks pretty decent for the first tooth. And what I'm going to do is angle these out a little bit. Do that. Okay, I'm going to come into the interior of the mouth. And this mouth is a little more closed than what I normally do. So it's going to create a few little problems here as far as coming in here and making some gums. But I'm going to grab this corner right here, take this vertex and bring it in and shape it a little bit. I'm just rounding off the edge. And then with this one, I'm going to pull it up a little. Alright, so I'm going to grab these faces and extrude that. Turn off symmetry. And just pull these out a little bit. Scale them. And if I come into the interior of the mouth, I want to smooth out this area just a little bit by grabbing the edge. And I'm going to go into wireframe so I can see what I'm doing. So I've got that edge there, and so I'm just going to pull it back and down a little bit and just soften that transition into the other edge. Alright, so that just gives a little resting area like a gum for the tooth to fit into. Okay, I'm going to come back, grab the tooth, and I'm going to name it over here in the outliner. Tooth underscore 01. I'm going to duplicate it and scale this one down, angle it, push it down, and I'm just going to rough these out, and then I'm going to come back and try to get some of the details in here where I've got some kind of irregular shapes. Come back and grab those. I'm going to duplicate this one now. And you'll notice over here in my outliner it's automatically numbering up for me. That's why I put 01. And it's usually better to do that before you start duplicating them so you don't have to come back and number all of your parts. Okay, I'm just going to scale this one up a little bit. Angle it a little more. Alright, and he's got a little one down here and another kind of large one off here to the side. So I'm going to duplicate this one. Pull it over here, and I'm going to have to start angling these. So following that curvature of the mouth. And I'm going to duplicate this one for the last tooth, scale it down, angle it a little more this way, slide it over. Okay, so my drawing's a little different. I've actually made a smaller mouth than what I have in my picture, so that may be something I come back and address a little later. I kind of like the larger mouth. Okay, but for demonstration purposes, I just want to finish this off here so you have something to follow along with. I'm going to angle this tooth out a little more, and now I'm going to come back and just get some of these irregularities in each of the teeth here. over here to this one. So it hooks over this way. And then the last tooth over here. And I'm going to just do a little bit more variation on how I position them. So I'm just going to rock that one forward a little bit, angle it a little bit more, angle that one. Bring that one back and something like that. Alright, so he's got his teeth, and I'm going to just model out a tongue. Again, starting with the cube, bringing that forward, up here. Just F on the keyboard to frame that up, and just giving some subdivisions. Two in there, or three rather, and I'll just go 3, 3, and 3. Alright, so blocking out the basic shape. And I feel like it needs one down the center here. And I'm going to drop one down here in the center. Or fairly close to the center. It's not going to be exact. And I'm going to take the edges and push these down. And pull these over. And start taking these edges and pushing them down. So it's going to start rounding it. And I feel like I've got one too many edges here. I'm just going to double click on this edge, hold down Control and delete it. Pull this one up and scale this out to round it. Alright, and back to vertex. I'm going to start just giving it an overall kind of roundness. And it needs a little roundness in this direction too. Just widening that. And that looks okay. Let's move it into the mouth and see what this looks like. So again, a little hard to see in here. I'm going to go to wireframe to try to place it. And So something like that, and I would come back in here and build up this area down in the lower part of the mouth, and probably go ahead and just do that right now. So that is just the mouth cavity sitting too low. So I'm going to take these edges here, pull them up. So scaling, pulling up these. I'm going to do that. Just pull them back a little bit. And just take a look at the mouth here. Right. So this edge can come up, especially with this point right here. I'm going to scale that down and pull it up. And across the bottom here, I'm going to grab these edges, pull them up as well. There we go. Alright, so let's just take a look at that in wireframe. So the tongue is still floating up in the air. I'm going to go back to this and grab the tongue here. Go back to object mode. Grab that tongue, and I can make it a little larger, a little thicker, and rotate it back. Alright, so it's just floating a little bit still. I am going to extrude some of the faces here, but I'll do that offline again, and I'm going to move on to the eyebrows. So for eyebrows, you can start off with a cube and shape it to the character's face, or you can also look for a series of faces that are already close to where the eyebrow is going to be and duplicate those and extrude them and shape them into the eyebrows. So that's what I'm going to do here. My character doesn't have eyebrows, but I thought it might be nice to maybe add some on here. So I would choose these around here and come under Edit Mesh and Duplicate, and they're going to show up right there. Okay, so they have the curvature already following the form, which makes it a little easier to work with. I'm going to select the faces and extrude that, pull it out, and shape this now. So I can actually grab this and push that back like that. And if I want to round this out a little bit, I might have his eyebrows come up a little bit higher than his actual brow. Same thing here. Pull these up a little. Alright, I'm going to drop in an edge. Scale those up a little bit. Alright, then depending on how soft I want these to look, if I want more curvature to them, I would leave them like this. And if I hit 3 on my keyboard, I can see how soft this gets. So if that's something that I'm okay with, that's fine. If I want a little bit more hard edge on there, I would go in and add some more points here. that, and I'm just going to go back here to 1 and pull some of these faces out a little bit. So I'm just creating a little bit more thickness and grabbing these points, pulling them out like that. So the closer I get these points to the edge of the next edge, the harder the edge is going to be. Okay, if I go to 3 and I kind of see what I'm doing here, as I pull these points over, you can see I'm getting a harder edge or a softer edge. Alright. So maybe just a little bit more thickness up here. And just looking down from the top, pull this out a little bit more. Okay, so that would be an eyebrow, and to duplicate that over, I can see that the pivot point is down here at 0, 0, 0, where I want it. So I would just come over to Duplicate Special, Option Box, and put a -1 under Scale X. Duplicate that over. Okay, so we've got the teeth, the tongue, eyebrows, and some other things I may add on here. I might just do a little, couple little spikes of hair coming off the tail here, which I would just model very much like I did with the teeth, except I would round them out a little more. And that's about it for him. We're going to come back in the next lesson and model the hands.